child miseducated is a child lost. Hello viewers, this is NAib and I welcome all of you in this show, in the second episode of this show with Islamic greetings. Assalamu alaikum. As you know that the Pakistan has been confronting so many problems: poverty, corruption, energy crisis and terrorism. The solution to all these problems lies in only one thing, and that is education. So today we are here with an expert who is expert in education, and he has made so many strides in the field of education. He is graduated from Harvard School of Education. He is research assistant at UNESCO. He is PhD in education from Sussex, University of the UK, and currently he is serving head of Department of Education at NAib, Dr. Irfan Ahmed Rind. Sir, you could have become a doctor, you could have become an engineer, you could have become a businessman. Why you chose to become an educationalist?
Well, and as you have already mentioned that education plays a vital role in bringing the reform in a society.
Yeah.
But unfortunately in Pakistan, especially in our society, the status of a teacher has been reduced to the lowest ebb, in a way that nobody really wants to be a teacher. And to be very honest, if you can ask me, I became a teacher not by my choice but by chance.
But by chance.
I always wanted to be a medical doctor. That's what happens in Pakistan. When a boy is born, their parents actually keep on emphasizing them that you are going to be an engineer. When a daughter is born, they keep on telling them you are going to be a doctor. So in my case, my father really wanted me to be a doctor, though I wanted to be an engineer. And so that was a dilemma. So I kind of tried to be a doctor. I could not get admission into it. Medical college, and then I end up getting a master's in English literature, which kind of gave me no other option but to be a teacher. So my initial idea to be a teacher was by chance. It was never being by choice. It is only then at later stage when I started teaching in the classrooms and when I realized the condition of the students and the dire need to bring a change in their attitude and in their in their thoughts. That's where actually then I started enjoying this profession because I felt like I'm doing some social justice. I'm contributing and bringing a reform in the society.
That's good, sir. That's very good. So what do you think and what do you mean? What does actually mean to be an educated person?
Well, see. Being an educated does not mean actually to have a degree. Being an educated for me is a kind of a person who is able to distinguish between good and bad, who is able to distinguish between right and wrong. And at the same time a person who is able to understand the common discourse which is being spread through newspapers, through media, through different policies, especially what the way politician talks. If somebody understand what are they saying and compare it with what they are doing and then draw their conclusion, that is an educated person for me. And this is in a very common word called having a wisdom. So wisdom does not necessarily come by having a degree. Wisdom comes with a lot of experience as well. So the purpose of education should be not to provide the students with the content knowledge, but also giving them the opportunity where they can relate this content knowledge into their real life and are able to analyze and judge the events which are happening around them.
So the phrase quality education has been the talk of these days. So what does it mean to be a quality education and to have quality education, and where does Pakistan stand and how it deviates from those of the developed countries like US, UK and Norway and so on?
Well, very big question. Your question actually has three different parts into it. So first of all, a big debate about what do you mean by quality education. Now, the word quality is being defined by different people in a different variety of ways. So if we talk only about what do you mean by quality, it will take us 1 hour. But let me put it in a very simple way. There was one educational psychologist, Bloom's, who tried to define what is learning.
What is
And then he defined learning into 6 categories. He said that learning learning requires different cognitive processes. The more this cognitive processes get complex, the learning gets difficult. So what he did, actually, he make a hierarchy of learning. So he says at the bottom, the easiest part of learning is remembering. And then the next level of learning is called as comprehension, where students are required to understand basic things. Then the next level is called as application, where students are required to apply their knowledge. Like they kind of develop certain skills. Then the next level is called as analysis, where they are trying to compare and contrast different events. The next level is called as evaluation, where they are going to draw their judgment. And the last level of learning is called creation. Likewise, there are 2 kinds of a teaching. One is called as teacher-centered pedagogy. Other is called as learner-centered pedagogy. Teacher-centered pedagogies are those where teachers decide everything, what to teach, how to teach. And teacher actually is the center of everything. Whereas in a learner-centered approach, where the students are the center of everything, students decide how to learn and how to do the things. In the teacher-centered approach, the students become follower. In the teacher-centered approach, usually the learning levels which are emphasized are lower ones, so knowledge and maybe comprehension. So students are encouraged to remember what teachers are teaching them, and students are encouraged to understand what teachers are understanding them or giving them concepts. So students' understanding is based on teachers' understanding. But when a teacher goes for a learner-centered class, the teacher always gives the students opportunities. He always or she always creates a situation where students are able to analyze different events. When they analyze different events, they draw their own conclusion. They are going to be in a position to evaluate the situation. And that's how they end up creating something new. Now, in a learner-centered classrooms, a creative, independent learner is produced, whereas in a teacher-centered classroom, a person is produced who have a limited scope, who have a limited understanding, and these people actually reproduce the behavior. They literally becomes what their teachers are. And their teachers are the people who believe that they know everything, and that's why they are going to teach the students, and that's how the whole society. The quality education for me is an approach where learner-centered approach is applied, where inquiry-based teaching is adopted, where problem-based teaching is adopted, where critical thinking is their target, where high-order learning, which includes analysis, evaluation, creation, is promoted. That's what I believe is the quality education. Now, Pakistan, where does Pakistan stands? And how to compare Pakistan with other countries, a big word. If you're going to ask to a politician, they might give you a wonderful answer, which might happy your audience. When you're going to ask an academician, I cannot simply answer it without any empirical evidence. I do not have any empirical evidence with me. But I can give you one example only. One example of a study which we conducted to understand the quality of education at intermediate level, up to intermediate level. So what we did, we initiated a project. In that project, we focused on the 8 boards which are operating in Sindh. 5 of them are local government boards. 1 of them is federal, 1 of them is Aga Khan board, and the last one actually is Cambridge board. We took 10 subjects from each board. These were English, maths and science subjects, including physics, chemistry, biology, botany, zoology. and for each subject we took 10-year papers, and for each paper, within each paper, like each item, we try to find out 3 things about that item, about that question. Number 1, what level of learning that item is analyzing. Does that item try to assess students' memorization? Does that item try to assess students' comprehension? That's second level of learning. Does that question analyze students' application? Yeah, application level. Does that item analyze students' analysis level, or does that item analyze students' evaluation level, or does that item assess students' creative levels? Second, how frequently that item is repeated, and in which variety? Is that item repeated as it is with major changes or with minor changes, and from which chapter this item is taken? Now that was the target, and what we found that majority of the questions are assessing only students' knowledge and comprehension. There were hardly any questions which were assessing students' application level or analysis level, and there wasn't a single question which was assessing the students' evaluative or creative skills. Now that's what is happening in intermediate. We found that around 30 to 40% of the questions repeat every year, and the repetition is as it is, which shows the quality of examiners, that they are not creative enough even to change the item in a way that at least students do not have to simply look at the previous paper and see that. And what we found that majority of the chapters are totally ignored in the last 10 years. In the second part of our study, we try to see what kind of a level of learning students and teachers are emphasizing in the schools of these affiliated colleges or affiliated boards. And we found that students and teachers are doing the same what is happening in the examination. Since examination was focusing on the low order learning, teachers and students were doing the same. Since examination was only emphasizing on a few topics, teachers and students were doing the same. Since examination was ignoring a couple of chapters, teachers and students were doing the same. They were ignoring those chapters at all. That's what we call the examination oriented pedagogy. The way examination is taking place, that's how the teaching and learning taking place. Now that's the quality of education we are having at higher secondary level, like that is pre-university level. That is that we are focusing on remembering and understanding. Whereas the national curriculum of Pakistan, which was developed in 2009, that required students to develop evaluative and analytical skills. So whatever our national standard is, we are way bottom to that.
At the bottom level.
So that's the quality of education which we have
in Pakistan.
in Pakistan. At least in Sindh.